Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Roll Call. With me, we have a guest that you've seen before on Roll Calls. Specifically, she's been on Nancy Grace recently, doing her reporter from the street routine. Lauren Conlin. Lauren, good to see you again. Very early in the morning.
It is very early, but I'm so happy to be here. It's been so long since we've done one of these. This
Yeah,
honestly makes me like just the happiest person ever.
yeah, no, it's great. We're getting back into the swing of things. As a couple people said that they knew when we would be back, or I'd be back when we started doing roll call again. So here's the first edition of that, and we got a new banner here. This is courtesy of Stevie Irwin. He makes the banners and stuff like that. I think he did an awesome job on it. I like it. It's a minimalist. The other one was big and it would cover up people's faces sometimes, and it would cover up mine. It's no big deal, but we want to
No,
keep it. We want to keep the guests going out. So.
wait, this is fun. Am I allowed to join the chat? Is this a new thing? Like, can I
You
join
could you
as
could chat.
myself? I
Yeah,
can connect my YouTube and join the chat, you guys. This is awesome.
yeah.
Wow.
And if there's issues, I have to do something on my end, just let me know. So
Wait, this is cool. Yeah.
so on roll call, we like to do is we Cake Spoo, thank you for coming back there. That's appreciated. Cake Spoo from Australia there. Uh what we like to do on roll call is go through some of the top stories that happened during the week. So if anybody who's new to the format, this is what we usually do. We do like a news style kind of thing, and we go through it and put on our sometimes like Lauren's been actually physically at the scene, so we're going to get into this. So the first case we're going to get into is the Diddy case, which to me hasn't gotten a lot of attention. I mean, we're looking at a big RICO case here, right? The Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organization Act. We're going to see, I believe they said, well, let's talk about the jury selection. So you've actually been down there at 100 Center Street, right?
Yes.
What
Yes.
what's
And I think the case, a lot of people, it's funny you bring that up, the RICO stuff, because I think a lot of people are forgetting about this charge. And it's a huge charge. Many people are focusing on the sex trafficking aspect of it, which obviously is a huge deal. But there are two counts of that, one count of RICO. But the jury selection has been very colorful. I personally think, I mean, yesterday on Nancy Grace, I said jury selection is pretty boring. And she was like, no, it's not. It's my
yeah.
favorite part. I'm like, okay, yes, perhaps as a prosecutor, it's very interesting. As someone sitting there, I'm like, all right, let's move it along. But with Diddy, everybody was laughing, having a great time. It appeared Diddy himself, he was nodding his head at jurors, like trying to really connect with them. One reporter in the room was pregnant and he kind of mouthed to her, like, how are you? He's going for the Menendez brothers look with the crew neck sweater and like the collared shirt. I mean, I think that's super interesting. The defendant innocent look, right? Mangione's doing it under Agnifilo's wife. Diddy's attorney is Mark Agnifilo. Luigi Mangione's is his wife, Karen. So I'm like, maybe they're talking and they're saying, we got to dress these guys like so they look like, schoolboys. But as far as the actual jurors go, some of the jurors that have been passed through that will be in the 45 pool today, that is going to get whittled down to the 12 and then the 6 alternates. They have someone from the UN. He actually works in counterterrorism. They pass through an attorney who formerly interned at the Brooklyn DA's office in the DV unit, actually. She said she could be fair and impartial. A middle school teacher got pushed through. And then as far as people getting pushed out, it's been funny. One guy said he wasn't sure if he could stop smoking THC for 8 weeks. And then they're
Yeah.
like, okay, well, when's the last time you smoked? And he's like, last night. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
um,
I
and there
saw
was
that. That was pretty funny.
yeah, there was another guy on the stand who he did not finish his questionnaire, and it looked like he was just kind of falling asleep on the witness stand. And the judge is like, dude, do you have some kind of sleep apnea? And I'm sorry, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. The judge didn't say dude. And the guy just said, oh, no, Your Honor, I'm so sorry. I was just up all night binge watching Star Wars. And he's like, so are you going to do that during the trial? And he's like, no, and then got dismissed. Another woman, she said she had once fainted at hearing the term BJ, but like the full term. So yeah, it's been pretty crazy. But I think the consensus, Joe, is that a lot of these jurors, they seem like they want to be here. The guy that said he worked at the UN with counterterrorism, I guess he was asked about his like how often he works with law enforcement, and he really downplayed that. it seemed like, because he wanted to get pushed through, you know, where
Yeah.
it's like terrorism. I would think that, yeah, you work with law
He's
enforcement.
not going to make it. I don't think he's going to
Yeah,
make it through.
you're probably right. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the gist of it. So today they're going to firm everything up. There should be, I guess, any finalized issues that should have been submitted to the court yesterday by 2 p.m. And then jury selection is going to be over today for opening statements to start Monday.
Yeah. Listen, the prosecution would love to have a guy like that on their team, on their side of the jury, but I don't think the defense ultimately is going to say okay on that because they get a chance to pick who they want and who they don't want, and they get who they want to eliminate first and who they want to do this. So yeah, they got 45 men and women. Did they give a approximation about how many, half and half, or
So they, for like gender, you mean?
yes.
Or yeah, there. So I don't know the gender. It seemed like it was heavy female the last I checked. It also seemed like there were jurors in their 60s and 70s. And when I went for jury duty a few months ago, I noticed the same thing. The people arriving at jury duty seem to be getting older and older. And I don't know if there's a reason for that, Joe. I mean,
We're
it's
getting
just,
older and older.
oh, it's like us. Shut up. No,
We're
really,
getting older and older. So we have to say, look at all these old people here.
it was like, is it me or what's going on? But that's sort of what I thought was interesting. Like they did seem to be getting older, and which I don't know if that's great for him with like the swinger thing and them pushing this defense that he was just
Yeah.
this. Yeah, but the defense gets 10 strikes. They get to strike 10 jurors. They don't have to say anything, no explanation, and then the prosecution gets 6. And then from there, they'll whittle it down. So it's definitely going to be, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure, right? So we have a 5 count indictment, right? With a whole
Mhm.
bunch of things going on there. Some of them we can't even repeat on here because YouTube will have us go crazy. Um, the issue that I have now with the jurors is that so they're going to have 12 and 6 alternates. In a case like this, I don't know. Maybe I would go for some more alternates because of this guy being so famous. And yeah, I mean, I listen. Probably the older people don't know who he is. Even maybe some of the younger people don't know who he is. I mean,
You're right,
I
though.
can't, yeah. I mean, everyone knows it because it's been in the media and been in the news now. So it's kind of getting to a point where you say to yourself, okay, right? I mean, but here's the interesting part, and I'm sure you've caught this because you're down there. But they started naming names of people who really aren't part of the case, but now all of a sudden they're asking questions like, "Do you know who these people are?" And we're not going to name them yet, really. But there's a lot of famous people on this list. When they say, "Hey, do you know this person?" or "Do you like?" And you try to. I was going through the indictments, and these people's names don't show up as being charged with anything, or I mean, so that's
They're
kind of
in
odd
the
thing.
civil suits, some of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, and my understanding is I've mentioned 2 names, and I'll say them because it's not a secret, whatever. But Kid Cudi and Michael B. Jordan, who were part of that list that they showed jurors, those 2 for certain have a connection to Cassie Ventura. Diddy allegedly blew up Kid Cudi's car after he found out that Cassie and Kid Cudi were exchanging emails and text messages when Diddy and Cassie were kind of, on again, off again. And then Michael B. Jordan, she dated him in 2015. But yeah, some of the other names, I was just like, Mike Myers? I mean, can you imagine being Mike Myers at your house, just minding your business? Like, Austin Powers? What are we even talking about here?
yeah.
Weird.
Well, that'll play out eventually. But I mean, to have them on a list of questions to ask prospective jurors was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll see
Very
how this all
invasive.
goes. I mean,
Very
listen, we know that
invasive.
there is tons of celebrities and politicians or whatever that have gone to these parties. And I think once we hear the details of this, and I think they'll pivot eventually. They're going to say, okay, here we're going to take this one case at a time, and then we're going to pivot and see who else, could be potentially involved in some serious crime. So, I mean, when you're talking underage kids and the allegations like that, boy, it opens up so many different avenues for prosecution. But we'll see what happens.
Well, Sarge, when the underage stuff, the defense has made sure to come out on top of that. And I think they said this last week. It was Tenny Garrigo. She said, make no mistake, there are no minors involved in this federal case, which made me think, okay, The minors, that's specifically for the civil lawsuits. Not like it's it's only for that. I just mean in this courtroom, I don't think we're going to see freak off videos with children. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I do think that those allegations are just strictly through Wigder and the other civil lawyers, because that's what the defense is trying to say. She's getting up there and she's like, you're not going to see, and it's probably going to come out in her opening statements if I had to guess, but she's like, you all think you're going to sit here and watch these celebrity S tapes and get all this information. You know, Courtney Burgess going on Banfield saying this for years or whatever for the last year. And then she's like, you think you're going to get minors in these freak off videos? No, like you're really not going to get what you think you're going to get. So I'm like, well, what are we going to get? We're going to get the witnesses. And by the way, Joe, I don't know if you saw yesterday, I had tweeted victim 3 is MIA. They cannot
Yeah,
get
they
a
can't
hold
find
of
her.
her lawyer. Yeah, or her. Do you think Sean Combs or somebody on his team got to her?
Well, I mean, that's always going to be the different things. Is like Jen, thank you for becoming a member of the channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was supposed to be 3 people next week who was supposed to start with this, and the 2 victims, we don't know their names because of the charges that are against them, so it's protected. And the 3rd victim, they can't find. They can't find the 3rd victim nor her lawyer. So that's not a good way to start off your case if you're the prosecutor. And yeah, it led to all kinds of speculation online. Hopefully, she's just just being nervous about what's going on.
Well,
And
she said she was going to use her real name. She did not want to go by a pseudonym, and that was her plan. But it's like if you're getting cold feet about that, just go back to the pseudonym. Just go back to
yeah,
right. I mean, I don't know what she was going to say. I don't know who she was. Obviously, I do think that their biggest witness, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. It's got to be Cassie, right? I mean,
oh yeah, that's why. Yeah,
even Vito was
they're not
high,
starting
right?
with her. Yeah, they're building this up to get to Cassie, and Cassie's it's going to be that's going to be epic when that
Yeah.
whole thing's still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I have a feeling for so this is funny. We were talking about this with Nancy yesterday. She's like, and if you didn't watch the episode, I don't want to give it away, but she actually had one of the wardens on from MDC. And it was really interesting because Diddy has all this white hair. And Joe, you obviously know this and you can talk about this better than I can, but everything is white. And Nancy's like, why doesn't he just like fix that or like get? And he's like, you can't have hair dye in prison. Number one, and he's named all these reasons or jail why you can't have it. And then he actually said something funny. He's like, however, Diddy needs a cut, and we have multiple barbershops at MDC. So like, I don't know if their lawyers are going for this look where he's really scruffy on purpose because they want like the sympathy of the jury to make him look like he's just this old decrepit, so
Well, we've seen it over and over again. I mean, the only thing we're missing is the wheelchair, and that's
you should have been on Nancy because that's what she said, the Harvey wheelchair. So
yeah. Well, yeah, we saw it with Joseph D'Angelo. We saw it with a couple other people that they wheel them in and see what happens. But so Sheila, you kind of asked that how does he look? So he looks like an older guy now, right? He's all scruffy
and obviously he's lost a significant amount of weight. The clothes that he's wearing, he is allowed those 5 shirts, 5 sweaters, 5 pairs of pants, 2 pairs of socks, and 2 pairs of shoes without laces. They're not like it's not like he comes in wearing crispy steamed clothes, right? You got to come in from the bus. Your clothes are somewhere in the bus. I don't think they hang them up for you, Joe, do they? They're in a bag or something. Then you get shipped to the courthouse and you go into some room and you kind of change into your dusty old. It's a sad existence for these guys,
Well, I mean, if for what they're being accused of and what they're being charged with, right? We have to put all that into perspective. But the issue that comes down to is that you can't afford to give prisoners anything, even a hanger, because they'll either bend it up and use it as a weapon or try to do themselves in. I mean, all the different aspects of it. So that's the real reason behind it, because you can't. They'll make things that you can't believe what they make out of, like things like soap.
Tell me, I want to know what
They can make weapons. Yeah, they can make weapons out of anything. They'll cut up soap and make it sharp. I mean, it's yeah.
Soap? Oh my
Soap.
God. Sorry, cake
Yeah, well,
booth
think
got
about it. A
me.
fresh bar of soap. If you get a fresh bar of soap, It's like a brick almost. They could put him in his socks, and that's where the blanket party thing comes in.
Oh, and they swing it and they hit it, right? Like
Yeah,
yeah, that's
like
terrifying.
one of those medieval things. Sinead,
Came through,
roll
said,
call is back.
Diddy be asking where the steamer at? That killed me. Imagine,
Oh,
Diddy,
God.
you guys got the steamer.
I missed that one.
It's up a
But
little bit. That's so good.
all right. So, is there anything else on this? So, you're going to be covering it live, or are you going to be?
So I am planning. I found in the New York Post. It was called. What did I write down? It's called the Line Guys. So I contacted this company and I just said, "Hey, can you wait in line for me?" So I pick up. Let me just preface. I pick up my press pass right after this. I had to go downtown. If everything goes smoothly, there's no issues. Which, knock on wood, I will be very upset if there are issues, Joe. That's when I'm going to confirm this guy. He said he can wait in the line starting at 3:30 a.m. His cutoff is 7:30 a.m. So I'll only have about an hour of waiting by myself. Hopefully it's not raining. But I talked to Laura Engel, and I think News Nation is getting someone to wait there at 5 p.m. on Sunday. Joe, I'm never getting it. What am I going to do? Like, I can't.
I wouldn't do that for my favorite concert. I wouldn't do that. Sorry, I'm just not doing that. Well, first of all, those days are over.
Funny. Oh
4 o'clock
gosh.
in the morning, forget it. Yeah, I won't see it. That's the Bible. I'll wait for somebody. Somebody will do it. They'll do it, and I'll just watch it on television from the comfort of my living room. So that's
But this is the Diddy trial. Like, you know what I mean? And listen, I will be so happy with the over. So they do, if there's anyone watching or listening that was interested in going or traveling, I don't know the deal for the public. I know that it's going to be like usually, Joe, in Manhattan criminal court, I've been in court as a member of the public. It just depends if there's room. And when you get there, federal, is that a thing? Can the public sit through? I don't even know.
they can.
They can.
Sure. But I
then
don't know if they're gonna they can not allow it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
there's no cameras are allowed in the courtroom. There's no videos. There's no nothing. They're going to be really strict about that.
Well,
So
I know that because so when I live tweet Harvey, I made friends with the clerk and he actually lets me, because I don't want to lug my computer half the time. He lets me put my coat in front of my phone so I can tweet. But for federal, I'll be lugging my computer because I'm not taking any
Yeah.
chances. But the overflow media room on the 23rd floor. Wait, Flynn, a biscuit? You'll do it for a biscuit? I'll give you a bag of biscuits. Okay. Go right there. No, that room could actually be better because you might get to see the whole courtroom.
yeah, I was going to say they usually have a room where they do a CCTV. They have a huge TV that you can watch from it.
But I
And
want the jury.
it's always the better way to go because there's usually tables. It's usually around a long table, like a big dining room table, and you can sit there and everybody can have their laptops and stuff going on.
But wouldn't you be worried if you were me about not seeing the jury? Because that's the best part sometimes is
Well,
watching.
yeah, but that's that's the fallback position, though, right? So I mean, maybe you could get in once to see that, and see what goes on.
I feel like maybe I'll get in, like right in if it's like, so they're supposed to do two after opening statements from what I have seen, two quick witnesses, two honey buns, done. You're hired. Please. I'll give you a box of them. Really, no. There are two quick witnesses, and then, which shouldn't take long, maybe one day. Then the rest of the week is going to be one witness. So I feel like it's going to be either, you think they'd start off with Cassie? No way. That would
No,
be
they're not going to start off with Cassie. They've already
Yeah.
said they're going to start off with these two unnamed witnesses, and then the third who they can't find,
And then Cassie, you think?
and then Cassie. Yeah,
Close it.
they're going to set the table. Yeah, they're going to set the table for Cassie because I think she's the star witness in this whole thing.
Do you think they're going to call like law enforcement from the early 2000s, from the 1999 shooting, and like this is like, I'm just so curious.
I don't know if they're going to go there on this. I don't think so. I don't. They might do this somewhere down the road if they've uncovered more evidence, but this is a complete separate, different thing. I don't think they're going to bring that in there. I mean, listen, if you're going to bring up the character thing, all you have to do is bring the video of him beating Cassie, and I think that's enough to show this whole different side of him, whatever this and that. But I don't think they go back that far.
And now they're not actually sure if they're going to show it or not, which is crazy because it's like you asked every single juror if they saw it, and it was like a huge point of like just, I guess contention because, well, can you be fair and impartial? Yes, no, no. And now the prosecution's like, well, we're not actually sure that we're going to show it. But I guess I am so curious, Joe. I just want to know who's going to take the stand from Diddy's family. I could see the defense calling his mother up there to like give some kind of spiel on his background, his story, some of his friends. If anyone saw the fall of Diddy, they had some of his friends actually talk about him as a child and how he became this mogul. And guys, please don't hate me for this. I hate myself for this, okay? But I did find myself a bit moved at the beginning of that doc until the survivors came forward. And then I was like, nah. I'm like, F him, nah. But this guy did have a lot of very nice and deep things to say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to switch gears. You know what? I want to get into Karen Reed. Even though I had promised myself the last time we spoke that I would never get involved in this case again, but it's like the old, like once you're out, they pull you back in, just when you thought you were out. Oh my God. So Gallagher this week gave me fits. And then
I can't.
Yuri, and I hope I say his name right, Buchanan, because I say his name the other way so many times that
Don't say
I
it.
kind of forget. So, oh wow, here, Cakes Boo, thank you very much. Just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Cakes Boo. I really appreciate that. So, oh my God, I can't wait for Trooper Paul to come back. But
Oh my
Yuri
gosh.
Buchanan is the Yuri Buchanan, the sergeant, is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, what he did yesterday with the about the chain of custody, I think was really damaging. So, just briefly, folks, we'll turn this into a teaching moment, right? The chain of custody is that written, unbroken record of who had the evidence, where it was found, when it was found. It is a document that has to be at every crime scene. And
Yeah.
for Buchanan to say we didn't do it and that it would have been duplicative, I almost absolutely fell off the chair when he said that yesterday. It was big duplication if we would have done it. And he kind of was like a matter of fact, like, what are you crazy kind of thing? Like, what? That
Yeah.
is the document. That is the document that the crime scene text must keep, and it has to be pristine because if you don't, you run the risk of having evidence thrown out, which is where I think Jackson is headed with this. He's going to say we don't have the proper records. We don't know. I mean, and then add that on top of this, where you had, they said there were 3 pieces in there. There were only 2 in the voucher, and
Yeah.
major breakdown of not only the investigative skills, but it says a lot about the investigator, about the supervisor who signs off on this stuff. I mean, absolutely trash.
Glad that you're saying all this. I need to go back because yesterday I was do you know which when he brought this up, which part of his testimony was it towards the beginning or towards the end or the middle? Because I need to go back because this
About
is
the chain of custody?
yeah, this is really helpful for me to hear
Yeah.
and learn. So I'm just like this, I need to just mark this because I want to hear this for myself
I think it was
after
towards the middle. It was
explanation.
towards the
Okay.
middle.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then the stuff with the shoes,
Yeah.
that there's a whole other issue. But for him to say that the chain of custody is not a big deal and the document that you have there was, duplicative, whatever, I think it was really damaging to the case. I mean, listen, the first time around, I said it from the very beginning, that case was going nowhere. At this point, watching because I kind of got late to the game because I said I didn't want to get involved in this,
I
but I
know.
kind of got drawn. I kind of got drawn into it. It's like a
Hard
train
not
wreck. You got to
to.
go
Hard
see it.
not
Yeah,
to.
you got just a train wreck. You got to go see it. But
I know.
this time, I don't know how it's going to end up. Like the first time, I knew it was either going to be an acquittal or a hung jury, and I said
Yep.
that from like day one
Nope,
because,
you're right.
and I still think murder was the wrong charge, and I still think it is to this day. And we can
I
argue about that all day long. It doesn't really matter to me because it was overcharged as far as I was concerned. The
I
issue,
agree.
yeah, the issue that really comes down to is the police work was, let's put it this way, shoddy at best. And now you have the sergeant telling you like basically the number one protocol isn't a big deal. And it's just it is a big deal. It is a big deal.
And then I did we talk about no, I was talking about with Jarrett, but I was very just really disturbed by Lieutenant Gallagher the other day, or former
Okay, yeah,
Lieutenant
let's talk
Gallagher.
about it. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
talk about it.
I found it really hard to believe. Well, number one, I think overall, and Buchanan was doing this as well at Hank's directive. No shade. I get it, but they are downplaying Proctor, right? We
Well, they
know.
have to, yeah.
I believe we believe that Proctor is not going to be called to the stand by the Commonwealth. Hence, Buchanan reading some of those text messages, which is like kind
Yeah.
of wild listening to him. Yeah. But then you've got Gallagher, who did the same downplaying thing with Proctor, who says, "Oh, I didn't know Proctor was a lead investigator."
Yeah, that
And
was bad.
someone on Twitter was so genius, and they just plastered like 70 headlines of like lead investigator on the Karen Reed, like getting canned, suspended. And it's like, really? So you're the only local person that didn't know? Okay, got it. So
Yeah.
that bothered me. And then Joe, it was when it was basically like, yeah, I mean, you can get, I'm sorry, Joe, former NYPD, you can get probable cause for a search for pretty much anything at that point if you have a body in the snow that appears to be beat up without a coat in front of a house that had a party with alcohol the night before. He really wanted us to think that there's, I mean, am I missing something here? Well, that seems like probable cause to be like, hey, just got to search the house, just a quick, like, right?
Well, here's the other thing with that, right? So, which we never really hear, are there, I mean, we know it's snowing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any foot traffic in the snow going back from the house to the area where it is? There's no mention of that. No mention of it.
Or dog, they've asked that. There's nothing like that. The snow
Right.
covered it, right?
But right, but yeah, I know, but you still, I mean, even I don't care unless it's
Right.
coming down like 2 inches an hour, you're gonna cover up something like that.
Yes.
That's not the case here. The issue that also comes down to is that they broke another investigative protocol. There wasn't a canvas. They didn't knock on anybody's doors.
Yeah.
You have a dead body on somebody's front
No,
lawn.
canvas.
You have to canvas the entire neighborhood,
Hard.
including the house that's on where the body is. I mean, for crying out loud.
Do you like I take notes when Joe? I literally take notes for myself. I don't have my pen, but I'm taking notes on this stuff right now because I always learn so much from Joe that I'm like, this is. And did they bring that up in cross? I don't even think they didn't say the word canvas, but they just said like we didn't
Oh,
go right.
okay, just quickly, we'll just do a quick
Yeah,
lesson. So first, I did a short on this the other day just because I was just so angry about what Gallagher with this
yeah.
whole thing. Anyway, you bring to the scene certain items. You bring yourself a notepad, a pen, of
Hmm.
course, and you also have your flashlight, your business cards, a camera if you need one, right? Because now everybody's phone has a camera on it. But that phone should be a department camera. They shouldn't be taking pictures. No police department should be taking pictures with personal phones because you're taking pictures of evidence, and then you could lose your phone to the district attorney if they wanted to. So that's always a no-no. But
Yikes.
so then what you do is the reason why you have business cards is because you got to knock on doors. Now at 5:30 in the morning, all those police cars and I can't imagine nobody was actually looking out the window during this whole thing. And that, I know the kids you say LOL, they say it's laugh out loud, but we used to use LOL back in the day for little old lady. And because like in New York City, you could stand on a street corner or a building and you could just be looking, right, all the lights flashing this and that and all, and you would see the shade move just a little bit, and you'd be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, little old lady, LOL, up on the full floor. Because if she's looking at us, there's a good possibility she could she could see exactly what
That
transpired.
is so good.
Cake
So
Spoon, thank
good.
you very much for the donation. She right here. I got my for crying out loud. I'm satisfied today. Thank you. I
I
guess
love
I
it.
guess I say that too often,
No, it's
but
the best. We need to get Jan to make a mug with that for crying out loud. And now I want LOL, little old lady peeking out. Jan has to do that.
But no,
That's
that's what we
so
used to do is to go like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth floor, left building, and start there because you cannot tell me, especially in that neighborhood.
yep.
And what do I mean by that? Well, you have a very wealthy neighborhood. Everybody's into everybody's business.
Hmm.
And you see all
Yeah.
these police cars, all this ruckus out there, and I don't care if it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
people are watching. So to me,
Oh,
so then what you have to do is after you're doing your scene, you have to, first of all, there is a lack of scene coordination. We know that the first officer on the scene, I forgot his name, but he totally blows it. No
Uh,
supervision on the scene.
Sheriff, I think it was, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sheriff.
There's no patrol supervisor, no uniform supervisor that comes in and takes control of the scene. I know this guy's got a lot of chaos going on, but that's your job as police officers to kind of rein in that chaos and make sense of things. He doesn't separate the witnesses. Everybody's talking to everybody. Everybody's getting their stories together. It looks like, and then you also deal with the one person who's dominant is going to start saying things, and everybody says, "Oh, if she saw it, then that's exactly what I saw it too." And
And
even
that's
though it's
Joe, you should talk about that, like how that is a thing. One
it is
person
a
says
thing.
it who's the dominant person, and you don't even realize that this is coming inside your brain and you're
Right.
about to regurgitate it, right? Because this
Right. Well, that's
person,
why a lot of times people say, "Oh, they're lying. They're lying." No, they're not lying. They heard their friend, who they respect very much, say, "Oh, I saw this, this, and this, so now I saw it that way." What the
right?
prosecution, not the prosecution, but what the defense has failed to ask the question, and this is the question that they would need to ask and say, "Is
Yeah,
that what you saw, or is this was something that somebody else saw and told you that?" I have yet to hear. I didn't hear that in the first trial, and I'm not hearing it now. And I think they can but that could also hurt their case because they're saying like everybody's lying kind of thing. Just, oh no, Mary told me this, and that's where,
yeah.
and I believe Mary is, most people are
Or
going to,
Carrie said, Jen told me this, and now I'm going to say that I heard her. And maybe it wasn't on purpose, right? Maybe it
right.
wasn't
That's my point.
malicious. Yeah,
That's
I
my
want to
point.
show you this. I don't know if you can see this, you guys, but I, this is, hold on, where's my,
There
this
it
is,
is.
I went there last week. This is my car. I was trying to, and I have some other video that I'm going to put together. I wanted to show everyone how small the lawn was. And see, it even looks big here. This is like the problem. It even looks big and it's not big. And then it was the driveway itself that also gave me pause. Like this driveway, you can kind of, the driveway was so short, Joe. It really made me question how nobody saw this 6-foot man next to the man. You know what I mean? I drove
Well,
by several times. Like I know
the
I am
weather
a
conditions, yeah, the weather conditions could, play there. CH has a great comment. Humans struggle with cognitive dissonance. Seeds once planted keep growing. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
guys. I was a stalker. And by the way, I want you to know, Joe, you'd be proud of me. I drove from the waterfall to 34 Fairview. Then I drove from Fairview to One Meadows. I was just trying to see. Everything is about 5 minutes. It was pretty flat. But there were a lot of like random turns, I guess. So if you don't know where you're going, I guess it could be a little confusing, but it was quick and painless. And again, the house itself, sorry, I'll stop talking about it, but I was just
Okay.
shocked. The driveway got me the most. That's where I was like, I'm thinking it's like this long driveway where they have to run really. It's not. So, oh, and then the other thing was, since the lawn was so much smaller, and guys, I usually like have a tape measure, all this stuff. I wanted to get down and do that, but it's like someone's house and there
Yeah,
was a
no,
I
that's what,
know.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
it was
I was
10 a.m. It was 10 a.m.
getting the video is good enough. We don't want to be running
No,
around the
Joe, I
house.
wouldn't.
There's cameras everywhere.
I wanted to measure the lawn for the reason of the Hanks in his opening statement, where he said she's right in front of the lawn, and then she pulls away, she sticks it in neutral, and then she reverses 70% acceleration. I was just like, wait a second. This car would have been so close to the house. However, I don't know if there was music in the house. Like, did we even learn that the first trial? Did Lally ask any of these party goers if the music was blasting, if this was happening? Because if that's not the case, and the door is opening in and out to possibly take the dog out, I remember that. Remember he was walking the dog in the back to the bathroom. You would have heard something, right? It's
Yeah.
My point is, guys, sorry, I'm rambling. It just wasn't, the rock was not there, Sheila. The jury tampering Albert Rock was not there. But yeah, it just seems like it's a small contained house. You would have heard something, but these anomalies happen. I don't know.
Yeah, and this was Simi. This was what I was headed toward. So on your canvas, so not only you're doing your neighborhood canvas, which we refer to it, but you're doing a surveillance camera uh canvas, and you're looking, because everybody's got door cams now and all these other. We haven't seen any of that in this case. we don't see any of that. I mean, we know that the ring camera at 34 Fairview, right, is deleted or whatever, something going on with
Yeah.
that. So, but nobody else in the entire neighborhood. Nobody. There's not another camera in that entire neighborhood. I find
They
that
said
hard to
across the
believe.
street there wasn't, remember? They said, "Oh, we don't it didn't work," or something like that. Do
Yeah.
you recall? They said, "Yeah, it just didn't work."
Well, you have the police chief, right, or the deputy chief lives there, or lives in one of those houses,
Yes.
and he doesn't have a camera on the house, So I don't get that. So yeah, the canvas was really shot. The Like I said, not talking to people. I mean, that's to me is, and I'm surprised that Jackson hasn't come out with that set yet. So when you did your neighborhood canvas, what did you find? Who did you speak to? What are any other potential witnesses out there? Nothing, nothing.
I mean, I feel like I've talked to a few people about this. I thought Jackson was amazing. Trial 1. I thought he was like boom. This trial, he's doing well, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's not as good. He's kind of not as sharp, maybe tripping on his words a little bit. Am I crazy? I could be crazy because I'm kind of going back and forth with this trial. I'm not as glued because there's a lot of
Well,
other stuff going on, but not
well,
as sharp.
like I said, I don't know if they sat down with a police expert, whatever, to try to ask the right questions. Because to me, there's a lot of opportunities that he missed out on that he could have asked the right question and kind of blown this thing way up, especially when you got Buchanan. He had him on the ropes. He was on the ropes yesterday. That guy, you could see he was getting angry. He
Yeah,
was, he had him on the ropes here. So how could they use red Solo cups as evidence? Yeah, well, this is a whole other issue. I mean,
yeah,
it's a very, I would say, a pretty wealthy county or neighborhood that they live in. The police
yeah.
department should be well funded. And the fact that Gallagher doesn't send the only sergeant that he has there on the scene to go back to the station house to get the evidence collection kits that they need because nobody seems to have access to it. Um,
You need to tweet that. So they see these tweets. I'm sorry. Like someone needs to say this because you remember they tried to get a former law enforcement FBI agent. I forget exactly who he was. They tried to get him in to testify what an actual police investigation looks like. And Judge Canoni said, nope, not coming in. That's not, it's
yeah, well,
irrelevant.
that's why the other day I started putting this out in little shorts, little quick videos,
But I'm
quick
saying
bite
put it in
size.
words because this somehow gets back to the lawyers because they're on Twitter. They should be able to do this themselves with what you're saying because this makes so much sense. And I hate to say it, but when you said that now, it resonated with me more so than when Jackson was crossing Yuri or when he was crossing Gallagher the other day. So I feel like it's for me, and I think some of the people in the chat were agreeing, thankfully, because I feel crazy. It's just he's not he's coming across a little more combative this time, and new members of the jury don't know why. We all know why, right? Like we've seen this. We're frustrated. We're like, this is so dumb. This investigation was horseshit. Like, but they're not, you know what I'm saying, Joe? They're not getting it across for me. They're focusing on weird things, sort of like the gotcha moments that are not gotcha
Yeah.
moments, in my opinion. But
Yeah, well, like I
yeah.
said, I still think there's lots of new stuff that they can talk about. So Britt Black just woke up in California and or the West Coast and just coming in to say hi there. And
And
Mike
Mike
Alcazar has
spoke
entered the chat too. Yeah, Mike is in. Yeah, no, I'm ticked off about how this whole investigation gone on. So Gallagher, he really stepped on his foot a few times too, for lack of a better adjective there. I mean, he really,
yeah.
as this the job of a supervisor in the detective squad is to make sure that detectives do what they're supposed to do, to make sure that the job gets done, not to
Mhm.
do the job. He's out there telling everybody what to do. That's what he's supposed to be doing. Instead, he's out there
Mhm.
with the snow blow, not the snow blow, the leaf blower, and he's finding evidence, and he's not writing the reports for it because he says, "I'm the boss. I don't write reports." Well, no, dude, you found the evidence. You're the first chain in the custody. You now have to write it. That's why you don't get involved as the supervisor. You let the investigators do it because now this whole thing is screwed up because and here's where I talk about the follow-up question that Jackson should have asked him when he said that, because he said, well, did you write the report? No, I didn't write the report. That's what the detectives do.
Yeah.
I would have been like, well, you found the evidence. You're the first chain in the. Okay, so Sergeant
Yeah.
Buchanan or whoever else wrote the report, did you sign off on it? Did you verify that all the stuff was right? That's where the follow up questions should have been asked by Jackson. So
Yes. Yeah.
what did you do? Okay, so you didn't write it because okay, no problem. You're the boss. I get it. All right. So what did you do afterwards? Who signs off on these things? I would
Yeah.
assume so. Like for instance, I was a squad boss, and then like I said, I was the I have to sign off on every report, every voucher, every. Do you think I just blindly signed off on evidence vouchers? No, because
No.
you learn, you make a mistake. So, like
Yeah.
when I was a patrol sergeant, I worked in a place called Brownsville in the 73 precinct. I was a sergeant in the small 1 square mile precinct where we have about 88 homicides a year, and
Wait, one
it's
square mile?
1 square mile. The
Okay.
precinct
Okay.
was 1 square mile.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was a sergeant there. I started there in 1999. We had 81 homicides, if I remember, or
Wow.
78 homicides in 1 square mile. So you're getting inundated with stuff all day long. So you end up sometimes just signing things blindly because it just
Yeah.
and that's how you get in trouble. So you sign off. I remember getting in trouble for I signed off on a drug thing. The detective said there were 10 vials of crack, whatever, and there was 11. So there was more than what it would said.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get in trouble for
Doesn't
that.
it doesn't matter. You get in trouble for it, even though it's better for you to be over than under. It's still you made
Right.
the mistake.
Of
So
course.
you deal with that, but you learn how to slow down a little bit because there's certain things you don't want to keep on
Well,
losing your vacation time over.
we had this conversation. I texted you this the other day, and I've gotten some other opinions on it as well. Actually, as well from the guys on the case, the uh, Birchmore
Yeah.
case, which basically, people that are familiar, the judge had ruled that Birchmore and that investigation cannot come into play at all unless she said the door is open somehow. That must mean a witness or something. But there was crossover between a lot of the officers, and so I had tweeted something with this motion, and I said that I explained it, and then I kind of gave my little opinion, but fact-based opinion, where I said, Trooper Guarino had reportedly missed over 30,000 text messages between Farwell and Birchmore. Well, maybe I should have worded it differently, Joe, but basically what happened was when Farwell turned over his phone, whatever, he deleted everything. And Guarino was like, he deleted everything. And any law enforcement officer you ask, you're like, okay, well, that's a signal to dig further forensically, go to the iPhone, whatever, the cloud, do whatever you have to do, retrieve it from there. But instead, Fanning just got Sandra's stuff, her computer, laptop, and said, oh, I found her communications with Farwell. And nope, didn't see anything. Oh, you didn't see anything? She's just pregnant with his baby and now she's dead? That's so I guess my whole thing is like I was sort of being like, you're not reporting this correctly. Well, yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I think you agree, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't just say, oh, they missed it. We'll put it in a report
Yeah, no,
or
there's
deleted it.
holes. Yeah, there's holes. Yeah, you never delete anything. Yeah, like I
But
always say, deleting stuff is like throwing bleach on a crime scene. It's a giant red flag. Even if it wasn't, now it is. Now it
yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
like I said,
And you don't just get to go along your merry way and be like, deleted it, sorry. And that's basically what happened. Let me just write it in a report that he deleted it. No. I guess I'm like, why am I such a bad person for saying that? It gets very
you're
confusing.
not. Yeah, listen, it is what it is. One of the reasons why I shy away from Karen Reed 2.0 is just because it's such a toxic environment. But this time
No.
around, yeah, this time around that when I see the cops, I can't wait for Trooper Paul. Right, he was the guy that did the
Pirouette.
accident reconstruction. Yeah, I can't. That's going to be one of those popping out the popcorn. And I rarely stream the court case and talk about it while it's going on. That one I might do it, Lauren,
I would
because
love
I
that.
think
I would
I
love.
think it's going to be epic because
It
oh
just
my
did.
gosh.
Okay, mom, it just did. That was the best part. I remember watching that live, and I think I had tweeted that because I was like, I must have heard that incorrectly. He didn't just get on the stand and he wasn't just asked a question about physics and he didn't answer it with, it just did. Oh, yes, he
Yeah,
did.
he
Yes,
just
he
did.
did.
Yep. Suzanne, thank
Oh
you.
my
Yep, good to have you back. Yes, thank you.
God.
Yeah, good to be back. It just did.
Wait, let me ask
Um,
you one more thing, Joe, about this and chat too, because I just want to know how people feel. Karen's clips that are coming in. Alan Jackson and David Yannetti, you deserve big spankings for letting her do all this. If you were my toddler, yeah, no, just kidding. But she's done a lot of media. One of the last clips they played, Karen came out of the courtroom and said, it needs context. But did you hear this clip when she
no.
said it's either she goes, Jen
Oh,
McCabe,
yeah.
either me or her, or she's going down. It's something I'm
Yeah.
paraphrasing, but I was like,
Yeah, no,
oh,
I did a short on that too. I said, listen, the reason why we say you have the right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And then I said, you don't come out, you don't do TV interviews before a trial, and you don't say stuff like I'm either going down or Jen McCabe's going down. You don't say that.
no, that's
Because
the one that
I think yeah, I believe that she said something like that in some substance that if I'm going down, he's either I'm going down or Jen McCabe's going down. So like
what's the
why?
I want to know the context, like she's talking
Well,
about.
the point is like the defense, as good as they've been, they have failed to rein her in, and they make even the walkthrough like it's because she'll stop and talk to yeah.
Anyone,
So
anyone with an iPhone, yeah, she will. I
so I
just,
mean those are big problems. So like I said, they have a potential of winning the case again, but little things like that can really listen. I don't think that the jury likes what the cops have done so far, and I don't think that Buchanan came off very well again yesterday. Gallagher came off even worse. He's making faces, doing all.
oh, I know.
That's what they teach you in what they when you go through the testimony training, whatever they tell you, like don't make because I wear my face, I wear my thoughts on my face. I'm
Oh,
not
you
shy
do?
of, yeah, I'm not
You
shy
roll
about
your eyes,
saying
Joe?
what I want to say. Yeah, I'm not shy. I'll say pretty much anything. But if I
Yeah,
if I hold myself back, my face usually tells the what I'm exactly feeling at that moment. And
yeah,
it's
of
hard
course.
to what do you call it? But there was a disdain. It wasn't like it was
No.
a disdain for the questions that they got from Jackson, and that I think that's not gonna go over well with the jury.
Yeah, and I've said this, about the clips because anyone who follows me, I got that docu-series very early on and I watched it and I was like, what is going on? What is she saying? Why is she questioning herself? Why is she putting all this out there? I was shocked. I was disappointed that they would do something like this. I was confused. And I later, after, I'm an overthinker. I don't know about you guys, but I get in my head a lot and I go to bed and I'm like, and I start to think and I'm like, wait, the state here is trying to prove that this is a murder, that she was like, and she deliberately murdered him. Nothing about those clips indicates to me that she was plotting a murder that night, that she was so angry that this is what she was going to do. For me, it was like, she's like, okay, let me weigh out all these options. Let me figure this out. That's so funny. Joe's face has subtitles. That's so good. That's so good. But yeah, I just felt like if they're playing these clips to maybe raise some doubt that she doesn't know, but I don't think it makes her a murderer. And that's just me.
Well,
That's
even if they we know alcohol is involved in this stuff. That's why I said when we first started talking about this thing is that murder was the wrong charge because they
yeah,
don't charge the guy on the highway who's drunk who runs into somebody and kills
right.
them with murder. They don't vehicular manslaughter or whatever the charge is in Massachusetts, and that's the bottom line. If they
Well,
thought it was an alcohol induced thing, murder was not the right charge.
and then with Diddy, I think one of his defense experts is going to say that it's a doctor. He didn't have the mens rea, the guilty mind to do these acts willfully, right? Because he was under the influence. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, I can't everybody
Yeah, well,
say,
that was
"Ooh,
a bad.
that was
I heard that. Yeah, when the defense
yeah."
said that, I thought that was a bad thing because we went from this is all made up. This is all an attack on him because of X, Y, and Z. Now all of a sudden, well, he was under the influence, so he couldn't have been responsible for what he's doing. They're like, oh boy, that's not a good. And
Yeah, so who did it?
he's had lawyers already quit on him too, right? So
Wait,
uh,
oh, his
did
what?
did he have a couple of lawyers that already quit on him?
He had one. He had Anthony Riccio quit in January, but Joe, he's got, and you tell me how this looks too. He's got 8 lawyers at this point that are
Yeah,
sitting at
he's
this
trying to build a
table.
dream team. That's what he's doing here. This is
But
he
like,
thinks it's
does that
OJ
look
stuff.
good to people? Like a jury? Like if I see, I don't know how
It
that
worked
looks.
for
I know
OJ, so he's got the money. He can do it.
it's
So the
true.
last
So,
couple of minutes, because we went through 50 minutes already. So
oh my
uh,
God, wild.
I want
Yeah.
to talk about this case because I learned about this case from Gizla of Grizzly
Mhm.
True Crime. Ryan
Yes.
Hempill. This is right in your backyard, literally
Yeah.
in Manhattan.
Yep.
Right,
I
this
just
clown. Yeah,
put a photo together.
116 count indictment. This guy's got. I
Yeah.
mean, folks,
Yep.
Diddy only has 5 counts on him from the RICO thing. This guy has 116 count indictment against him. And this indictment is from my favorite district
Oh,
attorney from Manhattan, Alvin Bragg, who's now all of a sudden like the criminal justice warrior. Anyway, this guy
wow.
is a private equity lawyer. Termed this is gonna be termed the sugar daddy case. I guess that's what
Well, what I've learned, Joe, is that if that's all a facade, he doesn't, his lawyer's from legal aid. Just so, okay, so everyone knows, do
wow.
you
So he's
have,
made up all this like he
can I
made up all
share?
this stuff like he's rich and everything.
Yeah, wait, can I share something with you? Like, am I
I don't
allowed to
know if I
share?
can share anything
I think
on
I
this.
can
I don't know.
present. I think I have the ability, if I can.
Well,
Um,
if you have it, do it because
I would like
um
to show you guys his LinkedIn because it's wild, and then I'll tell you something about it. He is a fraud, Joe. He does not have money. People
ooh
on his LinkedIn, some of his businesses, I think it was NBC News, reached out to some of these businesses. They had never heard of him. One of them said, "Oh, wait, he was like an early investor back in the day." Guys, he's a huge fraud. He's penniless, from what I understand. Let me see. Share screen.
oh,
The problem is here that let me
do I
see
have
on
to
my
give you
okay,
permission,
great.
whatever? Because if that's the case,
Oh, do you
I don't know
have
how to
to?
give. Oh, here we go. I see it.
Okay.
Let's see.
This is him.
There we go.
Founder. Look at this. Ugh.
Oh, this is cool. I didn't know we could do this.
Oh, you didn't know I could share? I actually didn't know if a guest could share either. Yeah, that is cool. So yeah, that's
Okay, yeah,
him.
this is cool.
Yep, Ryan Hempill. Okay.
See, look,
So
we're getting places on roll call.
hell yeah. So this is he look at this. I mean, this bio just looks like he's a huge liar also. I mean,
Well,
maybe
yeah,
not.
no, but everybody's bio looks like that.
Well, true, but it's like he's done everything from finance to law to working as an off-Broadway actor. I mean, it's interesting. Like what? Uh, but yeah, so NBC had reached out to a few of these businesses. Some had never even heard of him. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to pull up the charges, Joe.
Yeah, pull it up. This
Okay.
is cool.
Yeah, so make sure I don't have to share this tab instead. Can you see
Oh, there you go.
this?
Yeah, so that's his next appointment date, June
Okay,
10th.
let me grab the charges because the case identifier. Oh shoot, I have to start all over again. Oh dang it. Hold on. I thought I
Okay.
had them out somewhere.
Yeah, well, while you're doing
I
that,
got
I'll
it.
talk
I
oh,
got
you
it.
got it?
Yep. But
Okay.
we can't go through all these. There's 116. Can you
Oh no,
see?
yeah, there's 160. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the charges. They won't give an affidavit in New York, right, Joe?
Mhm.
Not if it's yeah, it's annoying. You
Yeah,
see
New
all
York's
these?
got some weird rules about some things. But apparently there's hundreds of videos and photographs this guy took as basically blackmail stuff, but it's now going to be used against him. And it's going to get really interesting. I mean,
Do these.
there are so many women that have been a victim of this guy, and even the district attorney Alvin Bragg asked people to come forward, so they believe that there are a lot more women out there that fell victim to this guy's line of
Oh yeah.
stuff. And I
Here.
mean, This
Look
was
at that.
yeah. Actually, they found when they did the search warrant, they had all kinds of drugs. They found fentanyl, cocaine,
A
heroin. I mean,
cattle prod, Joe.
yeah,
They
cattle
found
prod. Yeah,
a
yeah, a
cattle prod
cattle
that he
prod. He was
was using.
shocking the victims. He had a woman allegedly tied to a bed for God knows how long, and torturing her to make her say to beg to get. I mean, this is like, guys, this is next level stuff from this guy. If you got to find, like I said it when Gizla first brought this case up. I was hanging out with him on the stream, and I was just like, "What? I didn't even hear about this." And this case kind of felt it's still not making big news. I mean, of course, you got Diddy going on
It's
and
not.
everything else, but this case
Read
to
the
me is
text,
like
though.
absolutely
Read the
huge.
text because that is part of the charges, like the intimidation charges. He
Yeah,
made serious threats to these women, and this is why they didn't come forward for so long. He really made it seem like he had I mean, he's going to be called right now. He's like the sadistic, sugar daddy, whatever, but it's going to come out in the media. The New York Post is going to do something very catchy, I feel like, where he is a fraud because all of this is fraudulent BS. No money, his lawyers from legal aid. He made it seem like he had all these connections and he had all this wealth, and it's not true. I am having a hard time, Joe. I cannot run a background check on this guy for the life of me. He does not exist in any of the systems that I use. I don't know if you have a better system. Like I have LexisNexis, Truthfinder. I don't know what is going on, but he is nowhere. So I am like trying to figure out, I'll
well, that could
go
only mean he's used a different name. I mean, if this is all this stuff doesn't exist, the possibility of another name or another several names exists out there. But here's the deal, right?
right.
So he's been fingerprinted. Had they gotten anything back on that? It's something to look at in that respect.
You prostitute. Did you not notice all the police business cards on my effing oops coffee table? And then it said, I know
Yeah,
half the truth
that's
sent
a
you.
disturbing comment too, because he talks about owning politicians and cops and this and that. So
Yep.
this investigation could take on a whole new meaning, or in the respect that this
All
guy's
right.
just full of stuff. That's okay, I can fix that. So
Okay.
this guy's full of stuff,
Yeah.
and he's just throwing that out there as part of his game and seeing if people will comply with that, thinking that because if those cards do exist, that's part of the investigation now. And listen, Alvin Bragg will not miss an opportunity if a prosecutor cop if somebody's involved in this. I can guarantee you that.
He loves taking down his own. Oh my gosh. And I think I told you and Laura Engel the other day on a chat. One of my friends works at Rikers. He's a CO. And so we always we send New York Post articles back and forth to each other because there's always somebody at Rikers, right? And I'm always like, oh, yo, did you see this guy? And he actually sent it to me first. I did not hear about Ryan Hempill, as you said. I don't know why, where it's just not making the rounds. And he said to me, he's like, Lauren, this guy, you can tell he's a sociopath. He was so nice, so cooperative, like wanted to have like a conversation. He was polite. He seemed classy. And I was like, what? And then he said he went into the next trailer and there's like this guy like sweeping the floor or whatever. And he's like, yo, you know what that guy did? And my friend's like, what? No, I don't know. And then they told him, and he's like, okay, that's why he's in protective
Yeah.
custody. These guys, they do not do well with the women beaters, the children
No. Oh,
apists,
like I
and
said, they better never watch those. Cake Spoo, another 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Cake Spoo.
aw.
That is, I really appreciate that. Yeah, no, listen, protective custody, they can't watch him 24 hours a day, and that's a big problem for that guy. But you know what? Like Beretta said, if you can't do the time, don't commit the crime. So there's a 1970s reference. I'm dating myself. Yes, I was born in this. I was telling people, yes, I was born in the 60s. Um, so, Lauren, that was great. I mean, 1 hour flew by. I want to thank everybody for showing up here. But the other day, just on a channel note, we passed 1 million views, and remember, I had to take a 9 month reprieve, but we passed 1 million views already, and that's what, like I said, 9 months off. Sinead, thank you for joining us too. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But one of our members of the channel said we need to have a name, right? So the Grizzlies are they have the Grizzly True Crime with they're the Grizzlies, and then they have the Law Nerds on another one. So we're gonna come up with a couple of names for
Ooh,
our chats. So like, and we're gonna leave it up to a vote, but like things that I've come up with, and Lauren, you can think about this too. But some of the things I
Okay.
thought of was like, police related stuff. We either call them recruits or probies or rookies or DPs or something like that. I
I
think that'll
like
be
recruits a little bit. That's kind of cool.
yeah. So
Recruits.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna brainstorm, and I want the members to brainstorm too, in the channel subscribers to come up with a name that you guys would like, and we'll could put it out on a vote on a poll on a Sunday afternoon. And Caroline, thanks. Welcome to as a new member. I really appreciate that.
Probies. Yeah, I like
Probies.
probies, but I also need Jan to do some new merch for you. We need to have a mug, really. So,
Well, if you're hanging around long enough, I usually say something that could be taken so many different ways.
a couple things. I might have to talk to her about that and be like, "Yo, we got to gift this for Joe. It's so good."
Yes. But
Crying
yeah, so that's the other, so we're looking at some different names. So everybody take a look at some names or whatever, and we'll put it out to a vote and we'll let you guys decide. But Lauren, it was great. Thank you. That hour flew by.
I
Yeah,
know.
and there was actually one case we didn't even get into, but that's all right. We'll save it for another day.
Yes, let's do this again next week. Okay. I mean,
Okay.
like I said,
Sounds like a plan.
I'm
Sounds like a plan.
gonna.
Like I said, we could do your show too. We can,
Yes,
and all the links have been posted in there by Nightbot. I know Nightbot was going a little crazy earlier, but well, it
great.
helps. It helps the mods. But thank you, mods, too, for being here and doing what you guys do. Lauren, you hang out
Sarge
1 second.
Squad.
Everybody else, you guys have a great day.
Sorry, Sarge Squad. Did you see that? That's good.
Sarge Squad. Yeah, okay. Well,
I love
I'm gonna write
that.
that on.
I
I'm gonna
love
add that
Sarge
on the list.
Squad.
Sarge Squad. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So let's come up with a few names and then we'll do it. So this Sunday, no shows because it's Mother's Day. So I want to wish every mother, godmother, aunt, sister, anybody who's in that role, have a great Mother's Day. You guys all deserve it. You too, Lauren. You have a great Mother's Day. You hang out 1 second. Everybody else, have a good day. See ya.
Bye, everyone.